Hello, my name is Abigail and welcome back to Polyglot Progress. Today is July 13th, 2018, which makes it almost exactly 2 months since I filmed my summer goals video. So today I'm just going to be giving you a 2 months update. This goals update video is pretty interesting just because in the past 5 weeks I've done probably more language stuff than I've ever really done in my life, but also it kind of doesn't look that way through these goals. A lot of these goals look like I haven't really made much progress. A lot of what I've been doing for the past 5 weeks is just living in a language. I have basically spoken mostly French for the past 5 weeks, and then when I spoke English it was to translate French to English, and I feel really great just about how much I've been able to actually use languages in my life, because that's not something I get to do most often. But in that time I was also so busy, so exhausted, and so I wasn't really able to do a lot of other language study. So I just want to preface these goals with that. That was the period of time where I was honestly expecting not to get as much done, and I really feel quite confident in what happened. And then the rest of the summer is kind of going to be these goals, and I've also kind of changed some of the goals just based on kind of where my priorities are lying now after 2 months. And then the only other thing I want to preface as we get into these goals is that my last video I kind of did the structure of the order of which language I was going to go by based on kind of my priority, and I'm not doing that this time. I'm just keeping the same order as I did in the last video just for ease of if you're watching one video and then coming over here. So my first thing was to teach 35 italki lessons, and I've actually already completed this one as of yesterday. I taught 26 lessons in I guess the week and a half I taught in May, and then I taught 8 lessons in the 2 days that I taught in June, and then I taught a lesson yesterday. Don't know how many more lessons I'm really gonna get to, but I did manage to reach my goal, which I'm really excited about. I honestly don't really have a goal beyond the 35 I've already taught, just because I do kind of have a lot of other things going on in this summer, so I'm really content with where I'm already at. Second general goal was to study every day, and so far so good. I have studied every day of summer, studied every day of 2018, which is crazy. Hoping to continue that one. Next general goal was to journal 5 times a week, and hasn't happened. I didn't even bring my journal with me on this internship thing, which, you know, probably didn't help, but I could have written in another notebook and then just put it into the other one, or even just kept myself writing in things. It just was, I didn't really have the energy to be motivated to do that, I guess. And so it just didn't happen, and I would really like to keep up with journaling, but I don't know if the 5 times a week thing is really what works best for me. The problem is that I want to be able to journal in all of the languages that I'm learning and get that practice in all of them. But I think the problem for me is that I have never been one to keep up with the journal in English. I've tried it a few times and I don't. So then keeping up with the journal in another language as well, I have the same exact problem where I just don't have the motivation, I guess, to fully put myself into journaling every day. And so maybe these upcoming weeks I'll manage to do it. I think I'm gonna give it one more try. And if not, I think I'll just kind of try to journal when I'm studying, maybe wrapping up study sessions if I have a little bit extra time, feeling in the groove and things. Maybe I'll write a journal entry, but not kind of force myself to keep up with it all the time. And then the last general goal is to downsize my book collection. I haven't gotten around to doing this yet. In fact, the reason I'm filming here instead of in front of my bookshelf where I usually film is because my bookshelf is actually just a disaster right now. I'm currently actually going through and kind of deep cleaning my bedroom here, scrubbing down furniture and getting all of the dust off of it, getting rid of a ton of my stuff. I'm trying to get rid of a third to half of what I own this summer, and so my bookshelves are obviously a part of that, and they're part of what needs to get done the most, to be honest. I'll also be listing those books on eBay because people did say that they would want some. Overall, generally, feeling pretty good. I feel like I didn't do that much language stuff, but then when I think back I did, which in a sense is very good because it means that I just kind of balanced language learning into my life, which was the goal. But I definitely do want to kind of up the number of languages I'm using each day, because since I got back from being in New York and kind of doing my method of adding them, my routine totally changed and I kind of lost everything. So now I'm kind of just doing a little bit of German before I go to sleep. But overall I'm feeling pretty good. Next up is French, which is where I think I made kind of the most progress, which I was expecting. So basically, for anyone who missed this, basically I was doing sort of like an internship school program type thing where I was making films with students from francophone countries. So basically, I spoke French all the time, but we had other American crew members who didn't speak any French, so I had to translate. So basically, it was a lot of practice interpreting and also just speaking French in contexts like film sets. So basically, a lot of the progress I made was oral interpretation, which I've never done before. I've done like written translation, took a class in that last year, but I haven't done specific like oral interpretation stuff, and it still wasn't simultaneous interpretation. It was kind of like one person would say something to me and I'd have to then tell the other person what they said. And it was also nice to just get practice like living in the language, but especially because it was in like the context of something that wasn't a language exchange program. I like when the context is like a real life context as opposed to like just a practice session. So I really enjoyed like being on a film set, doing kind of like what I want to do for a job, what I kind of already do for a job, and just doing that in another language, and it was really nice and really made me think about kind of like what I want to be doing in the future and stuff. My first goal was to improve my interpreting skills, which I'd say gets a thumbs up. I also wanted to improve my accent, and I'm not sure if this really happened, but something that did happen over the 5 weeks is that I stopped caring. I still definitely don't love the way I sound, but I think I just don't care because became so much I had to speak for 5 weeks. And so that was good. And just also like I said something about my accent at one point and just like everyone was like, no, like I can understand everything you're saying, like I can tell you're American, but like who cares? And I think just also it was a good kind of reminder for myself in the sense that none of the students were from France. And I feel like a lot of the time the like French accent that I wish that I had is like a Parisian accent. And so like speaking with people who don't have the Parisian accent at all and almost sort of had sometimes accents that were closer to my accent, it just like was a nice reminder to myself that like that's not how you have to sound in French. And so I don't know, I just feel more comfortable with it. It was a nice time just kind of getting to see that everyone could fully understand everything I was saying, and my accent was never really like a problem for that. If anything, it was that I learned a few phrases that I use pretty often, like colloquial idioms are Quebecois idioms, and I never knew that. So the most problems I ran into was saying things and then having them be like, I don't know what that means. And then I'd look it up on word reference and it would be something that's only really used in Quebec. So yeah, I feel like at this point I'm pretty chill with where my French accent's at. I've always kind of known that accents aren't a priority for me, and I don't really care if other people have an accent. I don't really care if I have an accent in other languages, but for some reason French has always been one where I'm just very self-conscious about the way I sound, and I just wish that I sounded a little bit more native. But I think it was nice to see that I really don't need that because I sound understandable, and also just a reminder that not everyone who speaks French sounds the same. So regardless, I guess that one gets a check. My third goal is to watch more things in French, and I haven't really done that. I don't know, I just haven't really been watching TV or movies or YouTube or anything because I've been so busy. So I guess that'll be a goal that carries on for the rest of the summer. I also wanted to go through the Mango course. When I made my last video, I'd done nothing in the Mango course, and now I've done Chapter 1 from Unit 1. That's it. I also want to read 2 books. Have not done that one either. I also have not been reading in the past 5-6 weeks. When I filmed my last video, I'd done 160 words or phrases or whatever they count on Closemaster out of the 10,000 that I wanted to do. And as of now, I've done 310. So that goal is changing. I do think 10,000 actually was possible, as insane as it sounds. I think that was possible at the beginning of summer. Had I done Closemaster like every day this summer, had I kept up with it a little bit better, it probably would have been possible. But I think at this point, I found that it's just not the top of my priorities when it comes to the language learning resources I'm using right now. So I'm lowering my goal to be 2,000 words just because I feel like that's still a reach. It's gonna force me to do a bit of it, but it's also much more attainable than 10,000. And then I also wanted to finish the Fluency Fast Track on Closemaster, which is like 26,000 words. So that one's really not happening. I'm just hoping to get like 1,000 of those words done, honestly, at this point. Currently at 171 from 50. So again, I've made a good little hop. Both of those are really from like 1 or 2 days of Closemaster too. Spanish and Italian I'm just gonna do at the same time because the goals were pretty similar. And they both had the same thing happen to them, where they both kind of come to a halt. Basically, my plan was to kind of get most of my Spanish and Italian goals done within those first 2 weeks of summer before I left for my internship, and then kind of let them be things that I was working on maintaining for the rest of the summer. However, things didn't go as planned, and we weren't able to take the OPIC exams in those 2 weeks, and so basically I have to kind of push all of my goals for Spanish and Italian off a little bit to kind of finish those by the end of summer instead of like finishing them early in the summer and then continuing with other things. So basically I wanted to finish the Mango course for both, and this one I totally could have done, but because I was so busy it just didn't really happen. So this is something I'm hoping to do over the next few weeks. I'm currently on Unit 4 Chapter 5 for Spanish and Unit 4 Chapter 8 for Italian. There's only 10 chapters total, so I'm pretty close to finishing both of these. I think I'd like to finish those before August, basically, is kind of the new goal I'm setting for myself, just because that gives me about 3 weeks, and if I kind of just prioritize those, I'll be able to get through that pretty quickly. Next goal was to take the OPIC. Like I said, wasn't possible. I also wanted to take the Duolingo placement test and finish the tree. That one also didn't happen just because, I've said this before, I want to wait till after I take the OPIC to do that, just so that we can kind of show how far the Mango course itself got us for our review. So haven't done that yet, and it had to get pushed off, as well as finishing colloquial Spanish that also had to get pushed off. I wanted to read a book in each of them. Haven't done that for the same reason as French, just have not had time to read. I also wanted to figure out my next step for Spanish and Italian, and I haven't really done that yet. I honestly just have not been able to give that the thought yet. Haven't really been able to research like other textbooks that I might use afterwards and that sort of thing, just because I've been so busy. So that's something that I think I can also do in these upcoming weeks before August. Next we have Bulgarian, which is pretty much in the same place it was, I think, during my 2 months update last year, which is I haven't done anything with it yet. I really wish I'd been able to do stuff with it as of now, of course, but again, just I was gone for 5 weeks. Really, the whole 5 weeks I was working so hard, and then when I was not working, I was usually kind of just out with people, spending time with these students from other countries and just getting to experience, like, getting to know them and that sort of thing. That just kind of felt like what I needed to be doing and what my priority was, as opposed to studying languages at the moment. So yeah, I haven't gotten to Bulgarian, and I don't feel super bad about it, just because where last summer my summer was kind of dedicated solely to learning languages, I think my priorities are a little bit different this summer, and while language learning is still a priority, I think this summer, like, while I was at that internship, like, experiencing that internship was the #1 priority. I really want to make sure that I'm doing every language every day, or many languages each day. So I think I'm trying to kind of start with the ones I know the best and then adding them on from there, which puts Bulgarian kind of at the end of the line. But I'm definitely hoping to get to it soon. That being said, all of my goals in Bulgarian are staying the same. Still want to review colloquial Bulgarian, finish colloquial Bulgarian, take 2 to 5 hour-long lessons, and read a short story. Still solid goals. German, I wanted to finish the Duolingo tree, and I don't remember how many I had left when I made the video, but I think it was probably around like 25 or something. But I only have 10 left, 10 exactly, which, by the way, I'm only getting to the first crown level because that totally threw off my plan of finishing the tree. But even so, I just want to get through all the lessons. That one's finally definitely going to be doable. I can probably even finish that this week if I actually sit down and do that. Also wanted to finish Enjoy German. Haven't done any work on that because I didn't bring any resources with me when I was in New York. I think I've only got 1 or 2 units left of that. That one can also be done pretty quickly, so I'm keeping that one as a goal. I wanted to reach 1,500 words on my top 87% memorized course, and I'm currently at 1,072. I haven't really done a ton of memorize. That wasn't really where I was putting all my efforts until like a night or two ago. I wanted to have 10-hour-long lessons. Haven't had any of these. I don't know if 10 is kind of too ambitious at this point, just because that's more than one a week. And like I said, I've got some other priorities going on at the moment, and I also really would love to prioritize like Bulgarian and stuff like that. So I think I want to do like at least 5. I wanted to go through the Mango course. Again, started from scratch, and I'm currently halfway through chapter 4 of unit 1. So a little bit farther than the French course, but still really not far at all. But I'll definitely work through that one a bit more. And again, wanted to read a book. I do know I definitely want to finish Sailor Moon as the book that I'm reading. I'm currently like a quarter of the way through it. But I probably need to start from the beginning just because it's been a hot minute since I've read that book at all. And Esperanto. I also have not touched this language in the time the break has been happening. I wanted 500 words on Closemaster and to read a short story. I guess those are still goals. They're, again, I think kind of soft goals, just in the sense that Esperanto is definitely not my priority language at all. And also, if it comes down to whether I study Bulgarian or Esperanto, Bulgarian is of course going to win. And so I was kind of considering just knocking this off and just kind of letting myself forget Esperanto, honestly. I never really keep up with it, and so it's kind of something that goes dormant in my mind, and then I kind of, every once in a while, I'm like, I'll just refresh my Esperanto. But the thing is that I don't feel like it's got as much of a priority for me as much as the other languages that I'm learning and that I hope to learn. So I'm always kind of like, but I think I am definitely going to kind of revive it just because Ophelia announced she's doing a talk at the Polyglot Conference, so now I have to go to support the love of my life. And there's going to be so many people there who speak Esperanto and who I'll be able to kind of just, I guess, like rekindle why I enjoy speaking Esperanto with. And just also, I feel like I really loved the language when I started learning it, and I really loved just kind of everything about it, and so I kind of just really don't want to kind of lose the first language that really made me start wanting to learn languages. So even if it's not something that's super useful or connected to me at this point in time, I'd still really like to keep up with it. So I think I still would like to maybe do some words on Closemaster, or possibly even just start reading a short story and learn just through the immersion of that, and kind of like let it come back to me and learn new words through that. And lastly, I'd said if I started a new language, I wanted it to be Japanese, Arabic, or ASL, and I've officially decided that there's no way that I'm starting another language this summer. It's really sad because I always really want to start those 3 languages, specifically Japanese and Arabic, but at the moment my priority for myself is really just getting the languages that I already know and am already studying to a higher level, and really just making them a part of my life. I struggle so much with keeping up with all of my languages. I know for a while it was like I kind of liked to just kind of like do one intensively and then kind of like pull back, and I still do like that, but I think my problem is that I pull back a little too much, and so I need to find a way to kind of pull back while also keeping up with them, and just find a way to really incorporate all of the languages that I learn into my life and make sure that I don't lose my level. So what I think I need to do at this point in time is just keep up with the 5 or 6, if you count Esperanto, languages that I speak and study outside of English, and really get those to a point where I feel like I can keep up with all of them in my life and can really just make them like a natural part of me before I start trying to incorporate other languages that I want to be a natural part of me as well. So that's kind of where I'm at there. I'm taking a lighter course load next year, so who knows, maybe this upcoming year during the school year, or maybe next summer, or at some point soon I'll be able to start learning Japanese or Arabic. But I think first I really just need to get solid ground with the languages I'm currently at. How about you? How have your language goals been going? I'd love to hear, and I'd also really love to hear if anyone has any good methods for just keeping up with all of their languages and just maintaining languages after you're done kind of studying through that initial point. So please just let me know, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.